There's a moment when you realize that the world around you has shifted. And it's not in some dramatic way, but very subtly, almost imperceptibly. So 3 weeks ago, I walked into a store I've been going to for years. But this time, something was different. The checkout lanes totally empty, no cashiers waiting for you anymore. All that was there was literally just one tire-looking employee monitoring all these new self-checkout machines that have been put there in place of the usual old people. Honestly, it felt a little bit unsettling, and it got me thinking that these aren't just jobs disappearing. We're watching something much bigger unfold. You know, most people think that we're living through another technological revolution like the steam engine or the internet. We're not. We're living through the end of the entire concept of jobs as we know them. This put forth a lot of questions in my head. What's the actual future of work going to be like? How will the meaning and value of jobs change? What skills will actually matter in this new world? And I feel like if you're somebody who's clicked on this video, you're also someone who's looking to find better answers. You also know that this change is coming, and understanding it might be the most important thing we can do right now. So that's what I hope to do in the next 15 minutes. Show you where it all began, where it's headed, and how you can be ready for it. To understand where we're headed, let's take a step back. Way back. Meet Ayla. She's a hunter-gatherer living 50,000 years ago. Her work isn't a 9-to-5 job. It's simply life itself. Every day is a dance between survival and community. There's a separation between work and living. Success isn't measured in promotions or paychecks, but in well-being of the tribe, the fullness of their bellies, and the stories that they pass down. Then slowly, things started changing again. So about 12,000 years ago came the agrarian age, and we started planting seeds. Farming changed everything. We settled down, built villages, property became a concept, work became tied to the land, to the seasons. Families working together during harvest had anxiety during droughts together. The rhythm of life back then was dictated by the earth. Yet, amongst all of this, community remained at the heart of it. Now, while I was reading this history, I learned something that might actually surprise you. So in medieval times, peasants worked very, very hard, okay? But they also had an estimated 150 days off per year for Sundays and religious holidays. So if you look at the research by this Boston College economist, Juliet Scherer, she says that because agricultural labor was very season-dependent, the average peasant had anywhere from 8 weeks to half the year off. The hunter-gatherer societies worked around 1,000 hours per year. The average medieval peasant worked around 1,620 hours per year. And now, the modern American worker works around 1,760 hours per year. I'm sure the average Indian worker works a lot more. Now let's move a little bit forward in history. I want to take you to the 19th century. Meet Thomas, a weaver. Every morning he sits at his wooden loom, carefully weaving threads into fabric. It's the same work his father did, and his grandfather before that. The rhythm of the loom is as familiar to him as his own heartbeat. But Thomas's world is about to change forever. A new invention arrives, the power loom, a machine that can do the work of 40 weavers. Times are changing. Work moves from homes to factories. Labor becomes specialized, repetitive. In fact, Frederick Winslow Taylor introduces Taylorism, which is basically the idea of scientific management that's breaking tasks into repetitive motions to maximize efficiency. Now, as time progresses, we reach 1926. In 1926, Henry Ford implements the 5-day, 40-hour workweek for his factory workers. This was the easiest way for him to control workers and standardize production. This is the era when time becomes commodity, and time is money as a concept takes root. The clock now dictates the average person's life. People adapt because they must. You know, this idea that we humans would go somewhere specific for a set number of hours to do a specialized task in exchange for money. The way we have structured our entire society around jobs, that's actually incredibly new. Like, really new. We're literally talking just 200 years of human history. And I share this history because it reveals something crucial for all of you to understand. What we think of as normal now, the 95th workday, the idea of a career, these are actually incredibly recent inventions. And just as societies adapted then, we're again adapting now. But right now, there's one big difference. If you look at these shifts, they used to take generations to unfold. But today, change is happening at a pace humanity has never experienced before. Literally, right now, algorithms are learning at an exponential rate. Robots are not just assembling cars, they're making decisions, creating art. And think about this. The smartphone that you're watching this video on right now has more computing power than NASA had during the Apollo missions. You know, in the past, mastering a skill meant security for life. Blacksmiths, tailors, learners, they passed on their knowledge through generations. But today, the programming language you literally learned like 5 years ago might already be outdated. The software you use today could be obsolete tomorrow. It literally feels like running on a treadmill that's constantly speeding up. And if you don't keep pace, you risk falling off. But unlike a treadmill, there's no emergency stop button in real life. This acceleration honestly isn't just about technology. It's about us, our ability to adapt, to learn, to reinvent ourselves continuously as the world changes. And before we get to what the future is going to be like, how to be prepared for it, I just want to acknowledge something real here because it's personal, and I feel like it's something I feel. Change is honestly very, very scary. Psychologists actually have a name for it. They call it transition anxiety. If you look at the human brain, it has always craved stability, predictability. It's literally a survival mechanism for us. So when we are faced with uncertainty, we often cling to the familiar. It's also why some people resisted the internet and why others thought that smartphones were a fad. I remember thinking when I was very, very young that why would I need a phone that does more than just make calls? This resistance is very natural, and most of us don't want to admit it only, but it can also be detrimental. It's called the ostrich effect. That's ignoring the danger in hopes that it'll go away. But ignoring change doesn't stop it from happening. It only leaves us unprepared. You know, my work, my job, what I do has always been more than just a paycheck. That's how my parents raised me, where work literally became my identity, my purpose, what I derive all the validation from, what I can't even live for to an extent. So there's basically this unspoken social contract where we contribute our skills and labor. And in return, we get not just the paycheck, not just the income, but dignity, social status, and a place in society through the work we do. But in the future, as the roles of jobs and work evolves, this contract also might start fraying. So that's what got me thinking, what is the new social contract with work going to be like? Will it be about creating a world where work enhances life rather than detracts from it, or it loses all meaning? I learned 2 interesting things that I'd like to share with you. So I found this great report by the International Monetary Fund, and it gave me some anchors around skills and jobs of the future. So the report reveals that nearly 40% of jobs globally are exposed to AI. In advanced economies, that number jumps to 60% due to prevalence of cognitive task-oriented jobs. But in emerging market economies and low-income countries like India, it's about 26%. So the category is jobs based on 2 factors. That's exposure to AI and complementarity with AI. Let me explain what this means using a real example. So let's take a judge. Now, because of advances in text analysis, judges are highly exposed to AI. AI can analyze cases, precedents, and legal documents faster than any human can. But here's a key insight, okay? Society is currently unlikely to delegate judicial rulings to unsupervised AI. So, a job like this has high complementarity with AI. That's that AI will enhance a judge's capabilities rather than replace him. Now, let's compare this to a clerical worker processing insurance claims. Now, they're also highly exposed to AI, but have low complementarity. Their tasks can be automated without much human oversight. So for jobs which fit in this bucket, that is, they'll be enhanced by AI. That's another very interesting insight. Meet Amrita. She's a lawyer living in Bangalore. A few months ago, her firm started using AI to review contracts. So a task that used to take her team 5 hours now literally takes 3 to 5 minutes. But here's what's interesting. They still bill their clients the exact same amount. And this is what I found very fascinating. What's happening right now is we're witnessing something unprecedented. That's the decoupling of time from value. Work is not going to be related to the number of hours you put in a lot of the digital jobs. The only thing that will matter now is the output. Honestly, even at our workplace, for a lot of roles, we've stopped tracking the hours people dedicate to a task. It's all about the output. Sometimes it can take 40 hours. Sometimes with the help of AI, it can literally take less than 2. If you look at the larger picture, yes, it's still a very small segment of the society. It's the early adopters leveraging the new tools. But the upside of being an early adopter to a new technology is also extremely high. See, I'm not telling you a dream of not working or some quick become rich scheme. But what I'm saying is the way you do your job now can significantly improve, and people who benefit from it can benefit greatly. You know, in my own company, I see a lot of young people in their first job facing this massive shift. The environment around them isn't just competitive, it's literally changing daily. And while some are still stuck in this doomer mindset that AI will take their jobs, others are learning to use it as a leverage. So I want to help you guys take advantage of the shift. So instead of seeing AI as a threat, you can use it to become more valuable, both for yourself and any company you work for. Now again, back to the very pressing question. What more can we do? How do we prepare better for this time? You know, history actually gives us a pretty good blueprint. Think about it. Imagine being one of the first people to use Google or Gmail or the iPhone. These people saw something new, something different, and instead of dismissing it, they leaned in. They had extraordinary leverage because they were early. We are in that exact moment right now with AI. And I want to share 4 specific things that you can do to be on the right side of this change. Firstly, like I said, people who got into computers in the 80s, the internet in the 90s, and smartphones in the 2000s, they didn't wait for the technology to be perfect. They jumped in early and learned as it evolved. That's going to be your opportunity right now. If you've ever thought about starting something, a project, a business, an initiative, now is the time. The tools are accessible. The opportunity is vast, and history shows us that many of the best companies were born during times of significant technological shifts. Don't let skepticism or the voices saying it's overhyped differ you. Remember, people once thought that internet also was a fad. So get in early. Secondly, and this is very, very crucial, look at where you work or want to work. Are they embracing these new tools, or are they just hoping that AI will just go away? I remember people saying that BlackBerry will never lose to iPhone, or why would anybody need more than an email? They were on the wrong side of history. You ideally want to be in an environment, in a workplace that's not just using AI, but where you're surrounded by people who are great at using it. Think about it. Do you want to work at a company that's leading the change or the one that's resisting it? So choose your environment and workplace very, very carefully, please. I recently did a session for creators with the YouTube India team. And there were a lot of smart creators in the room, but so many of them hadn't tried out the tools because they felt like it's too complex or not for them. You know, I feel like this word, artificial intelligence, it feels very heavy for a lot of people, for a lot of average folks. So they feel like it's only for the tech nerds to use, but it's not. It's for all of us. Every new technology has a learning curve. I remember teaching my dad how to use Google. It wasn't very intuitive for him at first. Using AI tools is the same way. You have to jump in and start experimenting. So sign up for these tools. Pay for them if you need to. It's an investment in your future. Try them out in your work, your projects, your learning. Don't just read about AI, you need to experience it. And a lot of them require no technical knowledge and are so easy to use. Lastly, and this is perhaps the most important point, don't fall into the ostrich effect. Don't bury your head in the sand just hoping that it'll all go away. You have just spent 15 minutes watching this video. Now you know something that many others don't. But knowledge without action is worthless. You actually have to do something with this information. So here's a little challenge for you. This week, sign up for any AI tool, one AI tool, whichever you want, and try it out. So many of them are free, so all you have to do is literally put in your email ID. And trust me, I gain nothing from giving you this advice, but for folks who are here, who are watching this, I know you understand English. I know you have a smartphone, so you have literally no excuse. I want every single one of you watching this to grab these opportunities to build some leverage with AI. Otherwise, I feel like there's no point of watching our videos. People who are going to be early adopters will win literally all the research, all the reports, everybody says this, and I want these winners to be you. Lastly, understand that future of work isn't something that's happening to us. It's something we also get to shape. And the real divide in the future won't be between humans and AI. It'll be between those who embrace this change early and those who waited too long. Question for you is, which side of the divide do you want to be on? You know, for some of you, now this future of work might seem a little bit daunting, but I truly believe that we are living through some of the most exciting times in human history. And I want to keep trying to make you feel the same by helping you learn a little more about the world through our videos. So if you found value in this video, if it helped you think differently about your future, consider subscribing. Also, let me know in the comments, what's your take on all of this? Are you already using AI tools? What's holding you back? By the way, I read all your comments, so I would love to hear what all of you have to say. That is all for today's video.